This new moon in Pisces is going to be a reality check. And what I mean by that is that there's going to be a lot more hypernormalization going on. There's going to be a lot more thinking about who we're in alignment with, how we're in alignment, or whether or not we're in alignment. And the question we all have to ask ourselves, what is reality anyway? Welcome back to my channel. I am Shanna Cross from Moon Apogee Astrology. I'm a professional astrologer and teaching assistant with Astrology with Heather. So today we're going to be talking about the new moon in Pisces. This new moon is very interesting. It's very strange. It's very unusual. And the reason I say this is because the North Node is here, conjunct Neptune. So this can mean that there are going to be blurred lines as it relates to the reality that we live in. Saturn is also here, which is why I mentioned hypernormalization, because that's been a huge buzzword recently. And when I looked it up, I was like, yes, that is very much so what's going on. The other thing that's going on is that Mercury is here too. So with the sun, the moon, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node, we have a huge pileup of planets in Pisces. Pisces, as you know, is the last sign of the zodiac. It is the least physical of all of the zodiac signs. It is one where magic, mayhem, and clouded judgment can happen. So this new moon is in trine with Mars, and it's also in square with Jupiter. Now, the positive is that with the square to Jupiter, this can mean that there is a little bit more support going on with what it is that we're doing. Even though it could be a little bit of a letdown, Jupiter is not functioning at its best right now because it's in the sign of its detriment, Gemini, but it's receiving support from the new moon, from Saturn, from Mercury, and the trine to Mars is solidifying the fact that we have action. Mars is freshly stationed direct and beginning to crawl forward. It's not quite up to its full movement yet, but it is getting there. It is still very close to that stationing degree, which means the themes and the things that we have been mulling over, wanting to take action on, wanting to do, our emotions are going to be involved with this. And because we have this Pisces megastellium going on, also deep emotions. So things are going to be coming up to the surface during the next 2 weeks, really, after this new moon in Pisces, coming up for evaluation. Now, while it's not technically an eclipse, because the North Node is here, there is going to be eclipse-like energy in terms of the direction that we're going, the way that we want to go after, or the way that we feel pulled in a direction that we're going. Pisces has a lot to do with fantasy. Pisces has a lot to do with altered states of reality. It also, on the flip side of that, has to do with escapism, drug use for escapism, and just out of body experiences. Okay, so that being said, with this huge lineup of planets in Pisces, it's going to be a little weird. It's going to be a little strange. What is reality anyway? Okay, so while it can be a very confusing time, I think we can find clarity in that confusion. Because with this, the things that I have noticed with Pisces is that we can manifest, especially with Saturn here, and we can really go after what it is that we thought perhaps was a pipe dream. But with Saturn, it brings in the boundaries, the limitations, and the reality that we need to be focusing on. So it brings a gravity to what's going on. Mercury being here in the sign of Pisces at the time of this new moon, Mercury is in its detriment / fall if you're a traditional astrologer lover. And so what this can mean is that while we have these really big ideas, and while we have these fantastical thoughts that come in that are fully formed, ready for download, we can't necessarily get them out in a cohesive, constructive, or practical way. Even though Mercury is with Saturn, there's some type of limitation here as it relates to us talking about what it is that we want to do going forward. And that North Node with Neptune, that makes things a little strange, a little unusual, a little more karmic, if you will. Now, the good thing is that there's not really any hard aspects going on to this new moon other than the square to Jupiter, which can mean that we're able to understand how to move forward, right? Because Jupiter in Gemini, even though it's not doing its best work here, it's still, we're able to understand the big picture and some of the details. Not necessarily all of them, because Jupiter is that big picture planet. Gemini is all about the details. So we can definitely be communicating about something that is going on in our lives individually, as well as noticing collectively that people are either wanting to escape or people are focusing on that hypernormalization that's going on. And really, the rose-colored glasses are coming off the disillusionment that could be going on around this time to whatever hopes, wishes, or dreams, and especially as it relates to dreams, are going on, especially as it relates to the unconscious mind. I don't like this for what I know to be going on in the marketing world and how they are advertising now and experimenting on advertising to us in our dreams. So just be aware of that. For those of you that didn't know, that is a thing. And it's kind of a little scary. I personally like my dreams the way they are. I don't necessarily need someone to advertise to me in my sleep. So there is that. So that's what I have for you in terms of the general associations with this new moon in Pisces and what's going on. And so I will share my screen here and we will dive in to all 12 signs. And we're going to be starting with Pisces. So for Pisces and for Pisces rising, this new moon is really, it could be a very confusing time for you. It could be a time where you don't necessarily understand why things are going the way they're going. It could be a time where you are just going with the flow and processing as things happen, as well as seeding new intentions for where you want to go, what you want to do. And especially as it relates with this square to Jupiter, to the home, to the family, to what it is that you're doing. Because Jupiter is also you, right? Jupiter rules Pisces. Jupiter also rules your MC point and your 10th house if you have the MC point in Sagittarius. So what this can mean is that your focus is working maybe behind the scenes a little bit and focusing on what it is that you want to come home to, but what you want to create as well as a legacy. And it could be what you want to create as a legacy yourself to the family that you have. That could be something that's going on. The other things that could be going on is that, I mean, with all of these planets here, you are in control and in charge of your current manifest destiny. What do you want? What is reality to you? What is your biggest wish and hope, not just for you, but for humanity? With this pileup of planets here, and especially with them being in the first house as a transit, as if you have any natal planets in your first house, all of these areas of life for you are going to be up for grabs in terms of controlling. Even if that's not something that you like to do, you can influence what you want going forward. Because with all of these planets in the first house, the power lies with you and within you, just so you're aware. And with the North Node here, there could be a movement towards solitude or understanding who you are now based on recent events or, you know, the past or things like that. And you could be working more on you and kind of just letting your relationships be what they are for right now. Or you could be working on releasing any relationship that no longer serves you with the South Node in your seventh house. So while this is not an eclipse, there will be a lunar eclipse coming up in the next couple of weeks in your seventh house. So what you see now could have implications and ramifications as it relates to your relationships moving forward. Just FYI. So that is what I have for Pisces. And for Aries and for Aries rising, this lineup of planets is happening in your 12th house. This is one of those houses where it's not noticed by the people around you, where it's more of that internalized kind of energy, where this could be hospitals, this could be retreat centers, this could be rehabilitation centers. This could even see you needing to go to a rehabilitation center, or this could see you moving towards more solitude, more seclusion, getting away from the world because it's just too much at times. That could be something that's going on here for you. This could also even be for some of you hospitals or like having rehabilitative surgery going on, just because that could be a thing here with this, but it's going to work out maybe a little bit more positively for you than others. Now, with the square to Jupiter, this could be conversations about hospital stays or hospital visits. I actually know an Aries rising person right now that is going through this and looking at a long road of rehabilitation after a surgery that's going to be upcoming. So luckily, Mars is direct and moving forward. So there is that as well. That's not for everyone. For others of you, this could have to do with your sleep wake balance, right? Because you have the South Node here in Virgo in your 6th house, the North Node with Neptune up there in your 12th house. This could be prophetic dreams that come in. This could be prophetic downloads coming in, you know, from your higher self, from God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe. There could be things going on there as well. This could also see you working on new beginnings as it relates to working behind the scenes on something that you're doing for your career, for your public reputation, for your public standing. And with this, you are also having conversations about either health, wellness, and daily routines, or you're having behind the scenes conversations that have to do with what's going on here with your career, or just in general, just behind the scenes conversations that are going on. So that could be something that's going on for you at this time. Now, remember, there will be that full moon coming up in the next couple of weeks. That is an eclipse. It's a pretty powerful eclipse. So definitely be aware of that and be cognizant of that with whatever new beginning is going on for you. And full moons that are coming up in the 6th house, this could also mean that it's going to be a very busy time. So be aware of that and work accordingly. Okay, so for Taurus and for Taurus rising, this new moon is happening in your 11th house. And this has to do with the groups, the associations, the people that you surround yourself with by choice. This could also be humanitarian pursuits or things, charities, or things that you really get behind because you're super passionate about it, whether or not this has to do with advocating for groups of people, advocating for homeless, advocating for addicts, advocating for people that need help and need support and need someone to be there for them, right? So that's what this could be doing for you in terms of a new beginning there. This could have implications to do with either travel or working on something that you're known for. Like you could be starting your own charity. You could be having your own charity event kind of thing. That could be something going on here for some of you. For others of you, this could be more about like money coming in from your career, from your public reputation, from like what you're doing out in the world. And this is like monetarily coming in for you. So the other things that could be going on is that there could be some debt or some things that are going on that you're having to pay off, but you're able to pay it off because of the money coming in from your career or from some support that you have going on there. So that's could be how that plays out for you. The North Node being in your 11th house means that you're going to be really focused on your status, your personal status out in the world, how it is that you are moving about, the social circles that you move in, rubbing elbows with kind of top-notch people or people that are more active in society and all of that. That could definitely be a thing here. With the South Node in the 5th house, this could be not necessarily letting go of hobbies or things like that. For some of you, if you are of childbearing age, be aware. If you don't want to have children, maybe make sure that you are protecting yourself in that way. If you do want children, this could be a time where you are working on that. So that could be with the South Node here in the 5th house. The other thing that this could relate to is taking something that is a hobby, taking something that is an innate gift and talent and using it for that social circle, putting yourself out there in society and being known and advocating and using your words to advocate for other people, right? So that is what I have for Taurus. For Gemini and for Gemini rising, this new moon is happening in your 10th house. And so this is about your career, your public reputation, who you are out in the world, how your audience sees you, how the public sees you, and also the legacy that you want to leave behind once your working years are done or once you have gone on to the, clouds in the sky kind of thing. So with this, there could be a lot of things going on in terms of what you're thinking about, what you want to do. You probably are going through a very deep transformation now, more so with the nodes moving in, causing a little bit of ruckus here, causing a little bit of more transformational energy. And with Neptune and the North Node together, especially in the sign of Pisces, this could definitely see you moving towards freedom and escape the mundane reality that's going on to be able to see what's coming next, right? So with this, these are your artists of the world. These are your dreamers, right? So if you are a Gemini rising person and you are artistic or creative in any way, this is kind of what's going on for you in terms of that highly creative energy, right? Pisces is a highly creative energy, by the way. For others of you, this could just be like a real diligent focus with Saturn here on making something that is intangible, tangible, making something that is impractical, practical. And especially with your chart ruler here, Mercury up in the 10th house as well, this is where you're kind of like muckling down and deciding that, no, this is what I want to do. This is who I am. And with Jupiter transiting your first house for the last several months and into, this coming summer, this could see you taking that and taking control of that and working towards relationships, working towards your career, working towards connecting with the people and the audience that you want to connect with. Because Jupiter is the ruler of your 10th house. It is in the first house, which means this is within your control. This is within your influence, I would say, to be able to move towards the career and the legacy that you want to have. That is what I have for Gemini. For Cancer, this is happening in your 9th house. So Cancer is kind of having not necessarily a rude awakening. It could be, especially if you're a night-born Cancer and, Saturn's here in your 9th house. It could be putting limitations on how you see the world around you, or you, on the reverse of that, you could be getting really serious and very diligent and very practical and very mindful about the education that you want to have, that big picture view of, God, the universe, the world around you, all of that. It could be some of you are getting serious about going back to school, university, right, as it relates to college education, or master's degree, PhD, all of those things. It could also see you, if you're not doing that, realizing that how you thought the world was and how you thought about yourself in it is changing, right? Because the moon rules you. This is a new moon, right? So the moon is dark at this time. And so there's something bubbling up to the surface here in terms of a different way of seeing who you are in the world and how you are interacting with the world around you, right? So it's that kind of energy. And with Pisces, this could have to do with spirituality. This could have to do with maybe, taking something that, feeling invisible to feeling visible, right? Especially with Saturn here. It could also mean that there are things going on at a distance to you with that, trine to Mars in the first house that is really kind of affecting how you see the rest of the world. And with Mars here in the first house, I mean, definitely there's a lot of heat, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of action that you've been wanting to take, but you've been kind of spinning your wheels with it. Now that Mars is moving direct, over the next several weeks is going to be moving on, you could be taking initiation and action towards changing up how it is that you are interacting with the world around you, and also with your career too, because Mars is in your first house. So there is that. The other thing that's going on here is with the square to Jupiter in the 12th house, you are protected, right? There is a protective quality with Jupiter here in the 12th house. It also means that you are working on your beliefs about spirituality as well. And the concretization, I guess, was what I will say, of those beliefs, right? Because Jupiter is in trine with this whole stellium in Pisces, and, with Saturn involved, it brings the reality into it and tangibility and realness. So that is what I have for Cancer. For Leo and for Leo rising, this is happening in your 8th house of debt, finances, taxes, inheritance, joint finances. I think I said that already. But also it's a very psychological house too, as well. It's also a house of magic. It's a house of occult sciences, and it could be for you because the sun is here and the sun rules you, right? It could be, excuse me, that there is something going on here as it relates to a new beginning in your craft. And when I say your craft, I mean your witchiness that you have going on, whether or not you're a male or female. You could be a magician if you're male, a witch if you're female. That's how that works. Now, with this new moon, it could be a new beginning here in terms of understanding the practice that you want to have. And with that trine to Mars in the 12th house, because of the rulership of Mars ruling your 4th house, this could definitely see you leaning more towards your ancestral practices and working on connecting with your ancestors in a way. Because it is Mars, it is a little bit more of an intense influence there in the 12th house, but it's in trine, it's workable. Now, the square that's happening with Jupiter in your 11th house means that there could be something going on in terms of interacting with social networks, groups of people, or it could even be that maybe there's something that's going on with a friend group or with, a friend in general that is kind of deeply psychological. There could be psychological transformations going on with a friend as well. And you're able to see it from that perspective because with the sun transiting the 8th house, it makes you a little bit more psychic. It makes you a little bit more sensitive to all the energies that are going on here, with not just the collective, but the people that you associate with as well. So just also be aware of that. With Saturn here, it could even bring it down to that concrete level of reality and those psychic hits that are going on here. Highly psychic energy for Leo risings. Definitely, I would say, with the North Node conjunct Neptune here in the 8th house, be careful what you wish for, Leo, because you just might get it. And that could be a positive, it could be a negative. The consequences are unknown at this point, because this is the seed point of new beginnings. Be aware there is that full moon happening in your 2nd house. That is an eclipse in the next couple of weeks. So again, be careful what you wish for. That is what I have for you. For Virgo and for Virgo rising, this pileup of planets is happening in your 7th house. And so for you, Virgo, the focus is on who you are in relationship, how those relationships define you, because Mercury rules you, especially if you're a Virgo rising, right? So with Mercury in the 7th house, your focus is on your relationships. Your focus is on who you're relating to, how you're connecting with them, why you're connecting with them, as it relates to your partnerships, marriage partners, as it relates to your business partners or people involved in your business, or as it relates to your clients and clientele. This could also be, for some of you, this could be lawsuits, or this could be court cases that are going on. And with this whole stellium here, there's a lot of confusion with the North Node and Neptune of where it's going to go, how it's going to go, what's going to go on. With Saturn here, it's very much putting the limitations and the burdens on those relationships, if that is applicable to you, and kind of like your work and your routines and what you're doing. But also, you know, it could be even be with children as well. The relationships with them could feel more like a burden as well. But with this new moon here happening in your 7th house, there's a new understanding, a new way of being, as it relates to who you're connecting to, how you're connecting to them, and why you're connecting with them, right? With this whole stellium in the 7th house, it almost seems as if you could feel, right, depending, powerless to the people that you associate with. And there's a defining quality to who you're connecting to, right? So you are defined by the relationships that you have. That's what I'm trying to say there. Now, with the trine to Mars in the 11th house, this could mean that there is support. There are people that have your back, right? This is a trine to the friends group, to the people that you associate with by choice. With the square to Jupiter up in the 10th house, this could be something that's very public or something that is very known, because Jupiter is that 7th house relationship. It could also have to do with property as well, just because Jupiter does rule your 4th house, and the square here could make whatever's going on behind the scenes or whatever's going on in relationship very public, and a very public, it could be a spectacle, right? Like 10th house is a very public spectacle kind of energy. So that could be something that's going on for you, if that's applicable to you. And that is what I have for you, Virgo. And so now Libra and Libra rising, this is happening in your 6th house of your work. Libra, you are going to be super busy this whole time. There's a lot of busyness that happens in the 6th house. With Saturn here, work is going to feel more burdensome than usual. Work is, and I don't mean to laugh, I'm sorry, I've gone through this transit a few years ago. Saturn here in the 6th house, work is more burdensome and more like work. It's, even if you love what you do, you could have lost that luster, that shine, that joie de vivre that you have to do what you're doing for work. Or your daily routines just could be very restricted. And this could also have to do with your health, your wellness, your vitality, your energy, right? Because 6th house is also one of those energetic houses where it's like what you're doing every single day. It could be draining, it could be hard. Now, with this new moon, and especially with the North Node here with Neptune, there is a direction that you're moving in, a direction that you're going in for those daily routines, for the work that you're doing every day, for, you know, your health, your wellness, your well-being. Something is stirring here, and you're feeling pulled, you're feeling pushed, you need to do something, right? And with the South Node in the 12th house, it definitely could mean that there's not going to be a lot of rest for you. Libra, I do apologize for saying that, but it's true. You could be really focused on your work and what you're doing every single day and trying to get it done. Now, with Jupiter in square with this in the 9th house, this could mean that you're looking at the big picture of what it is that you're doing for work and how you want to proceed with the work that you're doing or your routines that you're doing, or kind of that big picture idea of, okay, well, this isn't working for me. I need to go back to the drawing board and really understand how to go about making my routines, making my life what I want it to be. Because maybe you want to travel, right? Especially with that Jupiter in the 9th house. Maybe you want to go places, you want to be free, right? That could be a thing here too. Now, with the trine to Mars up there in the 10th house, this also brings in your career, your public standing. So if you're the type of person that your work is what you're known for out in the world, this brings in, especially with Mars freshly stationed direct, brings in a level of action that needs to be taken in terms of clearing your name or working on very diligently who you are out in the world, who you're associating with, or even your partners or business partners. Because Mars does rule your 7th house of relationships and contracts and agreements and things like that. So there could be something here that's very public that's going on as it relates to that as well. Okay. And Scorpio, and for Scorpio rising, this is happening in your 5th house. This is fun, play, joy. This is romance and sex. This is, this is one of those houses where it's a fun house. It can be very lucky. It can be highly creative. It can be highly sexual as well, just because, 5th house, that's where we make babies. But it's also where we kind of come together and create something, right? So having a new moon here, and especially with Saturn transiting here at the same time, Saturn will be moving on, but right now it could be that you've had a dry spell of creative endeavors, or you've had kind of a lack of creativity, a lack of fun, a lack of, working on relating to romance or your romantic partners. It could be something along those lines. The other thing that's going on here with Neptune and the North Node, this can be highly creative. I mean, especially if you're a late Scorpio rising, this is highly creative, highly fun. This could even be something as like creative writing with Mercury involved, or something like that going on. It could be something going on there. With the trine to Mars up in the 9th house, I mean, Mars rules you, right? It rules your work and what you're doing every day. It rules your colleagues and coworkers. So with the trine going on with Mars and this new moon, there could be an understanding of how you can relate to, how you can associate with, and how you can connect with people at a distance to you in a highly creative way. And it's fun, right? So with that 5th house energy and the 9th house energy, it's fun, it's exciting. You're able to connect with the people at a distance from you and feel cared for and nurtured in this way. Now, the square to Jupiter in the 8th house, this could bring in finances as it relates to you, and the people that you relate to as well. Jupiter is a planet of your personal finances, but it's transiting your 8th house. So this could mean that there is some kind of a little bit of power struggle going on with your personal finances as it relates to meeting with other people's finances, or taxes or insurances, especially. That's a big thing here in the 8th house too, is I've seen a lot of insurance claims and insurance things going on with this. So definitely make sure with that square to Jupiter that whatever's going on here with this 5th house and this fun creative endeavor that you're looking at, that if you need to have insurance, you have insurance. That's a thing. There could also be just like power struggles in terms of debt, things like that. But with this new moon, especially, it's It's more about the creative ways that you can solve the problems, and especially with the North Node here. So that is what I see for you there. Now for Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising, this new moon is happening in your fourth house of home, family, what you want to come home to, who you want to come home to, and the energy there of maybe even a property or a home that you want to live in or maybe don't want to live in, right? It can both sides of the same coin. But this superstellium that's happening here in the fourth house means that there's a lot of focus on your living situation and your roots, your family of origin, and where you come from, right? And especially with this North Node here, this could mean that you are connecting with your roots, connecting with who you are at that deeper, more core level of your ancestors or your, what's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, like ancestor worship maybe, or just connecting deeper with the people that you live with could also be. Like with Neptune here, it can be blurring the boundaries of your relationships with the people that you live with, but not in a bad way, right? This is kind of a positive thing. With Saturn here, if there is things going on the home front in terms of renovations, fixing things, or working through things, it could take a little bit longer than necessary to complete. With the North Node here too, this could be wild changes in terms of the home or the home front and what's going on there. Now with Mercury here, this has a lot to do with your partners, your partnerships, the people that you, either your spouse or your business partners, as it relates to maybe, like, say you're purchasing a plot of land with another person that is not your spouse, that's a partnership. So this could definitely see, and especially your finances being involved with this, that could be something that's going on for you, and which is not a bad thing. With the square to Jupiter in the seventh house, it could mean that there could be contracts and agreements on the table where you're having to negotiate. I would definitely say with Jupiter being in detriment here, with the new moon being in square, you want to make sure all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, and it's not going to be detrimental to you in the long run. Just because Saturn is here and Jupiter, is in its detriment there. That is what I have for Sagittarius risings. For Capricorn and for Capricorn rising, this is happening in your third house. This new moon, as it relates to, your new beginnings, either with a car, with a vehicle. This could see a new beginning as it relates to your siblings, or a new beginning in a sibling's life, not necessarily your life, but your sibling's life, or cousins. The other thing that's going on here with the North Node, there could also be, for Capricorn risings, for some of you, again, this is a subset, this could be a new beginning in terms of a certification of some kind. Maybe you're deciding that you need to go to some type of trade school or some type of certification that comes up as it relates to what it is that you want to do for work. There could be something going on there for you that you have to make it concrete and real and get that, sign off on someone in a position of authority to say, yeah, what you're doing with this, you can go and do this now, right? And especially as it relates to Jupiter in the sixth house in square with this new moon, there's action that needs to be taken as it relates to your work and your routines and what you're doing every single day. So that could be something there that's going on for you. And with Saturn here, Saturn is your ruling planet. So Saturn is focused on the skills of the trade that you are working on, whether or not this has to do with, this could even be astrology. This could be, as it relates to the medical industry. This could be as it relates to, like, for some of you, this could be medical coding, right? You're learning how to code to work in the medical field. That could be something that's going on there. Now, with the trine to Mars in the seventh house, this could definitely bring in, like, working from home. That could be something that's going on for you. This could even see maybe something going on in terms of your home life specifically, or your place of living, and either a sale or a purchase to be able to move to a different home within the community that you're living in. That's another subset that could be, there could be something going on there. So yeah, that is what I have for that. And finally, Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this new moon is happening in your second house of money, of what you gain, right? What money that you bring in and where you're spending it and what you're spending it on. This could definitely be something that's going on for you. And as it relates to money that you are spending on children, on fun, on play, if you are someone that has a gambling addiction, you may want to take another look at what you're doing. If you have an addictive personality, take another look at what you're doing, because Jupiter is in its detriment in the sign of Gemini in the fifth house. The fifth house is a house of gambling. It's a house of speculation. Be aware of that. And yes, I'm speaking to those of you that have addictive personalities. Otherwise, for other subsets of you, this could be having to spend money on a child or on children, plural, or like working on setting up financial goals for yourself in order to have more fun in your life, right? Because the fifth house is a fun house. It's where we make babies. It's where we connect with exciting people that come into our lives, boyfriend, girlfriend kind of energy. It's also where we have hobbies that we want to do because it's fun for us. It could also be like just fun because you want to have fun, right? Going out, spending time with people in the community or something like that. With Saturn here, Saturn is your chart ruler. So your focus has been on your finances and maybe the limitations or burdens that have happened in the last few years with Saturn transiting through here could definitely be a thing. With Mercury here, transiting through here, you know, this could even be as it relates to children, as it relates to other people's money. So maybe there's something going on with your partner's resources where what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine. That could be a thing going on for you specifically. Just be aware of that. The other thing too could be like a partner could be letting go of a way of making money. And so where it relates to your money specifically, you're having to pick up the burden and limitations of that as well for different subsets. Now with the trine to Mars, right, that's going on here in the sixth house, this could relate to your work, your daily routines, and how you are making money from that, right? This is your job and how you're making money with your job. Now, this could also be vehicles. It could have something to do with vehicles, either the sale of or purchase of a vehicle. That could be something that's going on, something that you need. I would say if you're like trading in a vehicle or having to spend money on a vehicle, it's going to have to do with getting yourself back and forth to work, right? So just be aware of that as well. And that is what I have for you. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. If you like, share, subscribe, that really would help my channel quite a bit. And yeah, have fun, everyone. It's going to be strange, but it's going to be weird too. Bye, everyone.